Welcome to the Soul Traveler Podcast, an exploration of conscious living with your host, Jennifer Mitchell of The Soul Experience. Join Jennifer as she explores the quantum realms of the subconscious mind and all aspects of spirituality. Driven by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, topics will stretch the boundaries of your imagination and revive your mind, body, and soul.
Hey, Craig, welcome to the Soul Traveler Podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Grateful to be here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yes, and I appreciate you as well. We were just chatting offline for a moment and came to realize that you are also here in Las Vegas.
I am in Las Vegas. I love this town. I just love this town.
There's something really magical about this place. And what's really interesting is through podcasting, I've been connecting with so many people, and sometimes I don't even realize they're here in Las Vegas until I hop on the podcast with them. And that's basically the case with you today as well. There's so many light workers here. And sometimes I think Vegas has this rap of Sin City, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but a lot of people don't realize that we have such a beautiful community here.
Indeed. I was sharing with you more about my background and everybody I used to live full time in a motorhome traveling around the country, building this business, which is now called InHarmony Interactive.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent a lot of time in Sedona. And for the spiritual community, Sedona is like a mecca of energy and the vortexes and everything that's happening there. And I was sitting in a vortex and I was meditating, and this gal walked up to me and sat down next to me and struck up a conversation in a way that only, light workers and light beings can do. And we just started dropping in, and she leans in and she goes, all the vortexes are closing here and they're opening in Las Vegas. And I was like, I didn't know that. That's cool. And I don't know, but I've heard it now several other times, and we hadn't lived in Vegas yet.
Mm-hmm.
We were still traveling full time in our motorhome. We spent, I don't know, once a quarter, we were in Sedona for 10 days while we were traveling around the country full time. We just really loved it there, and it became an easy place for us to stay, and obviously the energy and everything else. And now that I'm living here since 2019, and I spend a good amount of time on the Strip. I don't work on the Strip. I'm at Area 15 quite a bit, but I'm out and about with friends and family and friends that come in and out of town as they do. Every time I'm on the Strip, I connect with another light worker, another soul traveler, another person that I just walking through a casino. I'm not wearing my ring, but I usually have a pretty blingy ring, and there's just a lot of sacred geometry and jewelry and flowy things, and right, like I look the part, if you will. And I can't even tell you how many times I'll be sitting at a bar and somebody will sit down next to me and be like, you look like somebody I need to talk to. And we'll have this instant connection. You brought up kind of Sin City and the dark side of Las Vegas, and the yin and the yang, right? Where there's a ton of darkness, and there is darkness here. There's also a ton of light. And as people are living out their best lives on the Strip, which I can't even tell you how many people I talk to, and they're like, you live in Vegas? And I'm like, yeah, have you ever been off the Strip? And they're like, no.
I get that a lot. I had people ask me if I live in a hotel before. I'm like, no.
Totally. I'm like, no, you should come check out my house. Like, my house is freaking amazing. I love it here. And the cost of living is so much better, and there's never traffic, and you have access to the desert and the outside and the mountains. Anyway, it's just freaking amazing. But I can't even tell you how many times people come into town and they haven't been off the Strip. And then they come off the Strip and they realize that there's an incredible, say there's 3 million people in this valley, and the energy in this valley is magic. There's parts of the valley that the energy isn't so magical, but there's plenty of places where it's really incredible.
It really is. And so you mentioned something I'm actually curious about, that you traveled the country in an RV or in Harmony.
Yeah.
I'm fighting this RV dream of my husband's tooth and nail.
What?
Did you? I don't know. I just have, it doesn't appeal to me. But what did you like most about it? I know it's completely off topic.
Yeah,
but
we can talk about whatever you want.
yeah, like, what did you love most about it?
Everything. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
really?
Oh, the freedom, the connectedness, the presence, everything. All right. So we traveled. I'm looking out at, I have 2 RVs now. I have a Class A because we got a pickup truck a year ago. The RV we traveled in is a Class A, 34-foot Class A. It was a 2000 National Seaview. Got it for pennies. Like, really, it was not expensive at all. And it was in great shape. And we put a lot of love into it, and we made it our own, and it was fantastic. But an older RV for sure. And really, the universe served it to us on a platter, and we received. And then I was like, can we live in an RV for 3 months? It was just supposed to be 3 months. And we put together a specific plan of where we were going to go, and it was like an RV trip. But because of what was happening in our world, we had gotten out of our house in San Diego. We were now moving into storage and the RV.
Wow.
And then we put the RV at the shop and we traveled overseas. We went to New York for a week and then Turkey. My wife is from Turkey. So we went to Turkey for 2 weeks and we came back. And then we did a 1-month trip to Burning Man, the doTERRA conference. And before that, it was 2017. So we had the eclipse right before that. And then we were just going to take 2 months after that, just to soak it up and travel in the summer in the RV. And I remember after all of that travel and the work that we had to do, because the eclipse was fun, Burning Man, we were running a camp that's really like work, and then doTERRA, obviously a convention,
Yeah.
and we were making content, and we're doing all these different things. And then we landed in Zion National Park in the South Campground, which, if you've never been, it's $20 a night. And you're literally right underneath the mountains, and Watchman's Peak is like right there. It's just freaking amazing. And we didn't have anything to do. And we didn't have any place to go. And we had all of our stuff. And we dug out from the burn and we were already cleaned up. And I was sitting out by the fire. We had cell connectivity. So we were caught up. It was just a
Yeah.
regular day. And I turned to my wife after being there for a couple of days and I was like, where should we go? And it was the first time that it settled in that I didn't have any place I needed to be. Like, you're on vacation, it's in 5 days, we're going home. Even 2 weeks, we're going home. Like,
Yeah.
always have some place to be, and I didn't have any place to be. And it immediately dropped me into this presence of, I could stay here as long as I need to. 2 weeks at the campground, then I can go to another campground, or I can go on the road. And I've probably been to 150 Walmarts around the country. And it just became this freedom that we had.
Mm-hmm.
When you're traveling in an RV, have you ever stayed in an RV?
No, I have not.
The first time my wife slept without a roof over her head was Burning Man. All right. Literally the first night that she'd ever been in a camper, in an RV, or in a tent was her first night at Burning Man. This is 2012. So it was quite some time ago. So I get that. When you're in an RV, you have running water. You
Yeah.
have a bathroom. You have your own bathroom that nobody else's cheeks are touching but yours and your family's, right? So there's a big deal to traveling, and I don't want to use rest stops. And like traveling by van is one thing, but like an RV, you have like your own bathroom, bedroom, shower, you got water, you got solar on the roof, you got a generator. It's when you're in an RV, especially once it's clean and clear and full of water and that sort of thing, like you can go anywhere, do anything. In that RV, we were good for 6 days off the grid. And if we went to an RV park for a night or two, when an RV is plugged into an RV park, it's like it's an apartment, right?
Wow.
You can run the sinks as long as you want. You can go to the bathroom and take the longest shower you want. You have hot water. Like, you have all the modern conveniences in your box, including when you're traveling and living full time, all your stuff. So my entire closet was there. I had dress clothes. I had shorts and t-shirts. I had hanging and chill clothes. I had all my supplements. I had all my food. We can cook incredible. We would park in the Whole Foods parking lot, walk inside, shop, go out to the RV, cook up an amazing meal, then go back in and do another shop so that we were on our way.
That's cool.
And just load up, right? You stop and figure out along the way where you can stop, where you can get water, and where you can fill up. And by the way, just paying $50 a night to go into an RV park and you're replenishing your system. So we spent a lot of time going into big cities. I've camped in Brooklyn. I've had my RV all over the country. And one of the things I really loved about it was sweeping into a city. We would have appointments where we would share and talk about our technology, very much like I'm going to now or today. And then we would get out of Dodge, just as far away from people as we could possibly get. This country has some of the both breathtaking and incredible landscapes you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Really. Like,
I definitely want to go exploring more like of the parks and things like that. Because
Totally.
I'm a city person. I love the cities.
Cities are great.
Yeah.
And I love people, but it gets to be a lot energetically, especially if you're empathetic and open to it.
Yeah.
So at one point, we only stopped and camped at hot springs or cold springs. And we would have appointments all day. We only had the RV. So we would go from meeting to meeting, meeting practitioners, sharing the technology, talking about what we're talking about today. And then 11, 12 o'clock at night, after we would wrap up our last meetings, which inevitably ran into the evening for tea and a nightcap and all this, we would either sleep in front of their house, or we would just go to a Walmart or a truck stop off the highway or someplace off an on-ramp, frankly, on some side street in the middle of nowhere. You could pretty much sleep anywhere you want for 12 hours in an RV, and we did. And then during the day, we would go to a park, a national park, an animal reserve, a wildlife reserve, And we would literally set up, we'd pop out our RV, we'd open up the awning, we'd take out a couple chairs. We're not setting up a major camp, but we're just there to work during the day
Mm-hmm.
in nature, my feet in the
I love
grass.
that. And so you got
Like,
to travel the country, and also at the same time, you're building your business and going to all these places
yeah,
and, spreading the word about InHarmony, which
yeah.
I'm really curious to talk about. I see that you have demo
Oh, thank you.
centers where people can go and demo the technology. So you set
Yep.
up all around the country, which is amazing.
That was my RV trip that
Yeah.
did that,
So how would
right?
you describe InHarmony to somebody who is not familiar with it? Give us like the rundown.
Sure. Look, it's ultimate. It's the ultimate in relaxation.
Mm.
So think about it as relaxed as you've ever felt, swinging in a hammock, laying on the beach,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? In your
Yeah.
apartment, passed on the ground, just passed out because you just had a really long day and your body just gives out and you're like, I'm just going to lay here for a second,
Yeah.
right? The depths of relaxation is where we take you in moments. And we use sound and vibration to bring you there.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why we started living full time in a motorhome. I love that you started with that question because I'm going to explain to all of your listeners what this is. And your body's not going to fully grasp it until you've experienced it. And I'll tell my story of how I found out about it, and we can dive into that, and that will help, especially folks that have been to sound healings and sound
Mm-hmm.
baths, that sort of thing, because that's where it really started. My affliction for this technology really started there. But this is an amplified version of that. So I'm an audiophile. I like crisp, clean music and great
Mm-hmm.
audio. And I've been looking for, it's a really bad example, but if you've seen the Howard Stern movie, the gal sitting on the
Yes.
subwoofer, right? That's how powerful sound and vibration can be. And the
Mm-hmm.
reality is, it doesn't have to be a sexual experience. Laying on a subwoofer or standing in front of a stack of speakers at a nightclub, listening to your favorite band, or going to a concert where you feel the vibrations and the music pumping through every cell in your body, it's very calming, soothing, and relaxing. Regardless of what the music is, your
Yeah.
music calms and relaxes your body. And that's why we go to concerts, and it's why we go to nightclubs, and it's why we go to
Mm-hmm.
these venues that have these huge stacks of speakers, is because it stimulates the cellular response, and it's really powerful. So sound and vibration helps the mind, body, spirit, emotional body, physical body, mental body to relax. And it triggers that relaxation response and the chemical cascades associated with that response, a parasympathetic or a calm and relaxed nervous system response, in a matter of about 15 minutes. So it
Wow.
takes 15 minutes for you to go from stressed and anxious to calm
Mm-hmm.
and relaxed. And most sessions are 22 minutes. We have an app. So we have several different products. We have our meditation cushion, which is our smallest product. We have
Which
our
looks so
InHarmony.
cool.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We got a design patent for it. So it's ours, and we're super excited about that. And then the InHarmony practitioner, which is designed specifically to augment bodywork.
Mm-hmm.
Hands-on massage therapy, acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic. This is designed to add vibroacoustic therapy or vibration therapy or sound and music therapy to those hands-on modalities. And then we have our sound lounge, which is our Cadillac, if you will. It's our
Mm-hmm.
biggest and, in my opinion, the most immersive experience. It's ergonomically designed. It has 4 transducers. It's a powerful experience by itself. And then we also have our app. And our app is what actually drives the technology itself.
Mm-hmm.
It creates the music that creates the experiences. So you're laying down on the sound lounge, you push play on a track that range from 2 minutes to 2 hours, and they're about to be a lot longer than that. Depending on when this airs, we could have a 10-hour track, a 12-hour
Wow.
track. We've got a few different series that are coming out to bring in. You can play through your home stereo systems and can help to cleanse and clear your home as well. So some really cool stuff that we're working on that front. And from a music front, and that's what we do. We make furniture that allows you and helps you to reach the depths of relaxation. And that happens in the mind, body, spirit, and obviously the emotional body too.
That's so amazing. Like, I definitely need to go and demo the technology. I actually can't wait. I see you do have a location here in Las Vegas, so I am
I'm
definitely.
gonna have you over my house. I have a
I'm
home
gonna
studio here.
absolutely. I am there.
Yes. In fact, I'm setting up a podcast studio here in my office.
Oh,
I did a sound lounge session last night, and I had this very clear vision of what this. I just moved into a new house 30 days ago. So we're still getting settled and figuring things out. And the movers just tossed, what room does this go in? You're like, go over there and over here. And then you figure it out. So we're in the process of figuring it out. And I'm going to convert this room. I'm just looking over to my office, and you'll be here soon enough. And I'm going to convert it into a podcasting studio. So maybe we'll get to record a follow-up, and we'll be able to talk
yes.
about your experience right after it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. We can do even like a live demo. Like, I'm completely, that would
Cool.
be amazing. Yes, let's
Super
do it.
game. keep an eye on your Instagram and let's do an Instagram live for your experience. I would love that.
Yeah, I'm totally down to do that. So what inspired you? So you mentioned that you were inspired by sound healing. So did this come to you like in a meditation? Like where did you like get the idea? Like how did you formulate the idea for InHarmony?
It's a fantastic story. I'm just putting air conditioning on because it is unbelievably hot in my house right now as the outside temperature starts to heat up and it's not letting me do it. Oh, there it goes. Yay. Okay. It's a phenomenal story. So my wife and I are traveling the country, teaching, training, and educating on the efficacy of essential oils. We use doTERRA. That's why I was at the doTERRA conference, and we used to go every year. It's coming up here actually next week. And I would always gravitate at all the events that we were doing. We were often speaking at yoga retreats or conscious trade shows and conferences, and
Mhm.
there would always be sound baths, sound therapists. There would always be people around that were playing the traditional acoustic instruments, the bells, the chimes, the gong, the didgeridoo. And I don't know what it was about it, but once I had my first sound bath, which I remember it was at LIB, the Transformational Festival, Lightning in a Bottle, and I was
Mhm.
driving up with a sister of mine, Allie, and she was an angel working in the sound bath, and she brought her drum, and that was her gift. She worked shifts in the sound bath, and I was like, I've never been in a sound bath. She was like, you should totally come by. And I was like, cool, I'm going to come by. And I did. And I laid down and I woke up 45 minutes later, not knowing what happened. I just knew that I felt fantastic. My
Yeah.
body felt cleansed. I felt lighter. And as my wife and I are traveling around the country, we go to the Sedona Yoga Festival. I'd go to my hotel room. I would check in. I'd get settled. And then I would just go to wherever the sound healers were. And being an audiophile and somebody who likes good music, I always have a
Mhm.
great stereo system. I've invested in the receiver and the center channel and the front right and the rear rights and the subwoofer. And I just always want to dial in that sound so perfectly.
Mhm.
So I bought a gong CD, a recording of somebody playing a gong. For those not familiar, although I'm sure this podcast they are, the gong is one of the most
Yeah.
complex frequencies on the planet. It's not one frequency, it's a series of a bunch of different frequencies all at once, and it's really complex. So I took this gong CD and I went back to my house and I starfished out in the middle of my living room. And
I
I
love
took
that.
my and I just laid out with my legs spread and I took my center channel and I put it in between my legs. I took my front right and my front left,
Mhm.
these big 3-foot high speakers. I laid them down on their side and I put them next to me. I took my rear right and my rear left and I put it over here and I cranked this gong CD so loud, right? Trying to recreate the feeling that I had when I'm laying in front of an actual gong.
So
Okay.
did you do this with the intention that you wanted to make something, or you just did it because you wanted to feel good?
I did it because I wanted the experience. I
Yeah.
wanted the sound therapy experience on tap.
Mhm.
And even though I have bowls and a didgeridoo and 2 hand pans here, and I'm very fortunate to have some incredible instruments that play beautiful music, I didn't wanna play it.
Mm.
I wanted to lay down and have the experience, right? And I didn't want somebody to come into my house to play it. I didn't wanna I wanted it on tap
Mhm.
is the only way that I can put it. And I'm laying out, and I'll never forget it because my wife I don't tell this part of the story very often, but my wife came home, and in that particular house, it was pretty narrow and tight, and the garage was on my left, the kitchen was on my right. She came home from the supermarket, she had 2 brown bags in her arms, and she had to step over me, and whatever I was doing ridiculously starfished out in the middle of my
You're
living
just
room.
like, "What are you doing?"
I remember the disgust on her face. That was like and we're, like, tapped in, right? Like, my wife
Yeah.
is amazing. She just looked down and she was, like, shaking her head and smiling and looking down. "What are you doing?" As she's stepping over me, and I'm not getting up to help her because I'm in the middle of, like, my experience that I'm trying to recreate. I'm trying to relax, I'm trying to drop in, and then my wife comes in, brown paper bags crinkling. I just remember I was looking at her, "What are you doing?" She's like, "What are you doing?" And it was just really funny. So I was using the wrong technology. About 3 to 6 months after that experience, right, which I shelved. I was like, "All right, this isn't working. I'm not feeling the same way. This isn't giving me the same experience. This is not doing it." I get a phone call from my now business partner, and he says, "Hey, you gotta come down to my office." We were friends for 6 years before we started working together,
Mhm.
and for 6 years prior, we were just hanging out on the weekends, and we were part of the same friend group, and I got a phone call that's, "Hey, you should come down to my office and check this out." I was actually in New York at the time when I got the phone call. This was 3 to 6 months after that experience. I was sitting bedside with my mom, who was in the hospital with a nasty case of pneumonia. Spent
Mm.
18 days at her bedside, and I said to Dom, I said, "Hey, I'm in New York, but when I get back, I'll come check it out." And I had my first sound lounge experience, and I lost my shit. I was literally like laying on this sound lounge, this vibratory experience. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm going to just put up a virtual background of what the InHarmony sound lounge looks like. And you'll see it. It's a bed that you lay on. It's ergonomically designed. He has headphones on. There's an app and an amplifier that drives it all. And I laid down and all of a sudden the bed starts vibrating. I was using the wrong technology. We use something called a tactile transducer to create the vibration. It looks like this. And it'll show up.
Yep.
It's a magnet that oscillates back and forth, and it takes these speaker wires and connectors, and it literally translates music into vibration. And because you're laying on it, that vibration is transferred directly to your body and every cell in your body. And since
I
you're
just have to
listening,
try
oh,
it.
you're gonna absolutely love it. And since you're listening to the same frequencies that you're feeling, the brain creates this 3-dimensional, fully immersive sound experience that it perceives as being inside the music. And because of that, there's a number of physiological benefits that come into play because your body is vibrating to the same frequencies that you're hearing. And that's really where the magic lives. But my first session, I remember taking the headphones off halfway through the track and being like, I got questions. And they were laughing at the experience, and they were like, no, lay back down and finish, just finish, right? And I was like, cool. I'm just sitting there like tapping. I wasn't really good at relaxing. I'm an A-type personality. I'm like the thought of meditating. If he was like, I want you to come down and try a piece of meditation tech, I would have been like, no.
Yeah, you're crazy.
It's not my thing. I can't do that. It doesn't work for me. I've tried forever. It's just not my thing. But instead he was like, I think you got to come to my office, check this out. I did. And I instantaneously knew what I was feeling. I was listening to a track of bowls playing, and they clearly had some vibrations underneath it that were heavily coming out of the bed. And I fell in love with the experience. I got up, I played the entire first track. I sat up, I took the headphones off. I go, I have questions. And he looked at me and he was like, I know you have questions. You're laying down, you're going to do another track. And I was like, no. And he was like, yeah, you have to hear the full range of potential. And he played like a house music track for me. About halfway through that 15-minute track, I sat up, I threw the headphones off. I was like, if I have to replace those, I'll replace those. But you're answering my questions, right? Like, I can't lay down here anymore. And we proceeded to talk about the technology, what was happening in my physiology, the impact it was having on my nervous system. And I just lit up. I lit up. And I said, great, I'll take one. And I said, how do I get one? And he gave me like, you give us a check and we've got 10 coming and we'll figure out when we can get it to you. And I was like, it's not a good answer, guys.
That's not the answer that I want.
No. So they were like, we have 10 coming in. And I was like, no, you have 9. And I'm happy to buy it. And I want to help you from a sales and a marketing perspective. And Dom said, I was really hoping you would say that. Let's go. And it became the beginning of an incredible partnership. This November, that'll be 7 years ago.
Wow.
And Dom is one of the most incredible human beings on the planet. He's the best business partner I've ever had, hands down, no question. Sorry to all my previous business partners that are amazing. I love you. Dom and I, we get along. We do this for impact. But there's a profit motive here, obviously. It needs to feed my family and his, but ultimately we do it because we want to help people to feel their best. We want to help with longevity and anti-aging. We want to help with optimal human performance. We want to help work with elite athletes to weekend warriors to parents, business people, folks that want to learn how to meditate, yogis that want to go deeper in their practice. There's so many different applications to what we do. And every single day I am reminded of just how important this work is and how much humans need access to technology like ours.
It's so clear that you're passionate about this. And although, to your point, we live in a monetary society, but when you really set out to help people and like connect with people, I think that shows through your work and through your passion. I'm really curious. I want to dive in. I want to know more about the tech, about the science, like what impact and effects does it have on the brain? I'm still so curious. I'm like hungry to learn more. What can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. It has a tremendous impact on the brain. Music in general has a tremendous impact on the brain. Music harmonizes the brain and the different centers in the brain. You've heard the saying that we use 10% of our brains. That's not true. At any one time, 10% of our brain is working or more, depending on what we're doing. Your motor skills are one part of your brain. Your memory recall is another. Language is another, right? Creativity is one hemisphere versus logic from another hemisphere. So at any one time, we can measure how fast the synapses in our brain are firing through something called an EEG, an echoencephalograph. And that EEG tells us exactly how fast the electrons are moving on that neural pathway. And what you'll see when you put on this 19-point harness is what you'll see is that one part of your brain is quiet and dormant while another part of your brain is active, and then you start walking and your motor skill part of your brain starts to kick in. Then you start talking and then you start referencing something that you knew about. And I don't know if I'm pointing the right side of the brain here. That's not my world, but just to show you that there's different
Yeah.
parts of your brain. When you listen to music, much of your brain begins to harmonize.
Mhm.
When you're singing the lyrics, now all of a sudden you're using the memory center as well as the creative center as well as the music. So you have different aspects of your brain that are beginning to harmonize when you listen to music. When
Mhm.
you couple that with vibrations through the mechanoreceptors in your skin, now all of a sudden you're stimulating yet another aspect and another part of the brain and of the neural network. And this is where neuroplasticity starts to expand. This is where we start to activate different neural pathways and reinforce other neural pathways and get your brain functioning that much better. Teaching your brain how to move in and out of different brainwave states
Yeah.
and how to do that more efficiently, more effectively. It helps with memory recall. It helps with brain fog. It helps with your cognitive ability in general. It can help with language learning. There's so many different aspects of brain health that are
Mhm.
helpful in having a harmonized brain capacity and a more efficient mobility from and in and out of different brainwave states. So that's really powerful. And then obviously there's the physiological benefits
Yeah, you mentioned
of laying on the
anti-aging.
sound lounge. Anti-aging is a big thing. Look, the biggest aspect for me in anti-aging is increasing sleep and your ability to move in and out of an alpha, theta, and delta brainwave state. But you're also helping with lymphatic drainage. So now the physical components of laying on our sound
Mhm.
lounge,
Oh,
every
yeah.
single cell in your body is shaking. And if you're not familiar with lymphatic drainage, the lymph nodes in the lymphatic system is the detox. It's the waste aspect of your circulatory system.
Yeah.
When I say circulatory system, most people think about the heart, veins, and arteries, which is only a piece. But those veins and arteries, the blood is pumped through there, through the heart, a muscle that doesn't stop beating. And when it does, we die. The lymphatic system, on the other hand, is driven by gravity. It's now 12:35 here in town. I've been sitting in this chair since 8:30 a.m. I got up once to have some lunch,
Oh
but
my
I'm
goodness.
literally back to back until 6 p.m.
Wow.
So even me, and I live a pretty intentional life around movement and everything else, even me, I get stuck in a sedentary lifestyle
Mhm.
every now and again, and it really cripples my lymphatic system. So I go outside and I get on my sound lounge. I'll take a phone call while I'm listening to 40 hertz. Or if I have less time and I need to be in front of my computer, in front of the full setup, then I'll hop on my rebounder, which is a little trampoline. And 1 minute of rebounding actually sets up the lymphatic drainage for the entire day.
And
The
that's
sound
so
lounge is
important too. I don't think that lymphatic drainage gets enough attention. It's interesting that you mentioned that. I just want to dive right in real quick on that because I've been researching it, and recently over the last maybe a couple months, I've been starting to really like work my lymph nodes and like do manual lymphatic drainage because it's really important. And doctors don't really touch on that before you go in for a procedure or a surgery. You need to open up your lymphatic system. And so I
100%.
love that you're touching in on that because I think that people really need to have that as part of their everyday practice. They even go for lymph massages and stuff every once in a while now.
So that's basically what the sound lounge is
Yeah.
doing. It's shaking every cell in your body. It's activating your lymphatic system. And over a 22-minute session, it's
Mhm.
literally wringing out your body in a very
Wow.
special way, in a way that only the sound lounge can. It's really fantastic. Look, I get lymphatic drainage on my practitioner twice a month.
Mhm.
It's just magic. When you activate those detox pathways, you're activating the lymphatic system. You're
Mhm.
activating the release, the efficient and effective release of waste from the cells.
Yes.
It obviously opens them up to be more receptive to oxygen and nitrogen and hydrogen and all the other things that the cell needs in order for it to perform the way that it was so naturally and brilliantly designed to perform. We also send a message to every muscle in the body telling it to relax. So if your nervous system is sending a message to, we got folks that get off their first sound lounge session that have like an old college sporting injury of some kind. They get off the sound lounge for the first time and they'll be like, whoa, like I have an old tennis injury that has never healed. It's been 25 years and I have full range of motion now. What's going on? And it's that old injury, your nervous system was never reset,
Yeah.
recalibrated to deactivate the stress response that it's sending to that muscle group. And vibroacoustic therapy, each sound wave that goes through that muscle sends a trigger to relax and to disengage. Now, if the
Mm.
stimuli is still there, your muscle will tighten around that again. But if the stimuli is gone, that muscle starts to relax, and all of a sudden you start to get mobility back.
Definitely intrigued because I have a low back injury from multiple car accidents. So I would be curious to see like how that would, help on my low back.
It could be
Yeah.
fantastic. Everybody's different, obviously, every
Right.
injury is different. If the stimuli is still there, it's not what's gonna help momentarily, but I put countless people, thousands of people on the
Yeah.
Sound Lounge, and we were hosting an event. It was the Bud Tenders Awards. It was an annual bud tending award in
Mm.
California where they were honoring bud tenders, people that snip and serve weed.
Yeah.
And everybody was high, like the entire place was high. And a company reached out to us and said, "Hey, I love your technology. I want you to be in my booth." Right? We're the lead sponsor. I got a 20 by 30-foot booth. I want people to come and experience your technology in my booth. And they hired me for the day. It was really magical. And we had a line of probably 25 people. We were running 5-minute demos. There were maybe 300 people there, and everybody got on the Sound Lounge. And our line was literally 25 people
Wow.
deep all day long. So I'm spending time getting people on and off the technology. My wife was there, and I am also spending a lot of time talking to people online.
Hmm.
And I'm talking to this guy online, and he got crushed between a truck and a wall.
Oh my goodness.
And he had 31 surgeries. Okay. And he was walking around, he was talking, he had no cane. If you didn't know this, it all happened a long time ago. If you didn't know this, you would have no idea. But every single day he's in pain.
I can
He's
imagine.
like, "Craig, I have more metal, I have more screws, bolts." He was like, "They completely rebuilt me over 31
Oh my
surgeries."
goodness.
I go, "That's incredible." So I lay him down on the Sound Lounge and I'm like, maybe we should pull it back a little bit. I don't use it at that high of an intense level anyway, but
I just picture like the metal like in his body like clinking. Yeah.
I'm like, why don't we take it easy? He looks at me and
Hmm.
he goes, "How high does it go?" And I go, "Call it 1 to 10." He goes, "Take it to 11. I want
Okay.
all of it." And I go, "All right, it's your experience."
Hmm.
And his body was moving like the entire time, not in a bad way, just like you
Hmm.
could tell he was enjoying it, like big
Mm.
time. The track ends. I've never seen somebody jump so high, so fast. Like usually you come off this experience and you're in this. I usually say, "How was that?" And give you a chance to give me a little reply. And then I say, "Hey, take off the eye mask when you're ready. Take off the headphones when you're ready. Just sit in that space that you created. Good job." And people are usually like, "Okay." And they said, he jumped up so fast and he was so energized. Gave me a big old hug, a wet kiss on the side of my cheek, and danced off. And I was like, "How was that?" And he was like, "I feel amazing." Like screaming, "I feel amazing. Craig, this is the greatest. Everybody needs to." Still to this day, it is one of the most incredible responses that we've
Mm.
had to the Sound Lounge. And he went on to tell, he came back and after he danced off and we had a chance to talk and he said, "Craig, I have no pain." He said,
Wow.
"Every single ounce of my body feels amazing right now." And it's just a remarkable experience
I
and
just
what a
love that.
wild story. It was really cool.
And so you often go to festivals and events. I saw that you were at EDC. So people can find you not only online, but if they want and in the stores, but you're all over the place, it sounds like.
I am like one of the easiest people to find on the planet, really. Between social media and what I do
Mm.
at InHarmony, like I give out my personal cell phone number. Everybody's like, "Don't give out your personal cell." And I'm like, these are my people. If you love my tech and you're interested in my tech, I want to talk to you. I don't care if you
Yeah.
call my 800 number and get my phone to ring or if you call my cell phone number, but I'm in touch with, I don't know, we have 3,500 customers. I probably
Mm.
speak on a regular basis to 1,000 people in a week.
Wow.
It's a lot that I get text
Mhm.
messages and messages from people that are just loving what we're doing or sending accolades, sending. It's what keeps me going. I
Yeah.
got 4 hours of sleep last night. I'm sleep training my 3.5-year-old. I I'm reaching into the depths of my energy reserves. I have my Sound Lounge and I get on the tech and I did an incredible session last night, which I just talked about on Instagram Live. Like I selfishly and secretly have this entire business so that I have access
So
to
you
this
have access to
technology.
it. I love
Totally.
that. I probably would be the
Yes.
same. I'd be like on it all day, like taking my calls and just like you said.
It's absolutely incredible. And like I said, really, I use the tech all the on the Instagram Live. So my director of content creation, his name is Anthony. He makes all of our music.
Mm.
He's full time with us. We're releasing a new track just about every week. And as I was waiting for him to come on our Instagram Live today, I was literally telling people like we're going to reflect on a session that I just had last night. And if you don't believe me when I say I secretly started a business and keep this thing going so that I have access to this technology, if you have one inkling of a doubt that I am not authentically sharing from my heart, from my soul, how powerful this technology actually is because it's changed my life, today is going to iron out that last wrinkle for you and really show people just how passionate I am about this technology. I use it every day. My wife uses it just about every day. My roommates use it every day. My daughter at 3.5 uses it probably 3 times a week. To where
Wow.
she'll have a tantrum and I'll look at her and be like, you want to get on the sound lounge? She'll be like, yeah, Dad, set me up. And she'll go,
I'm already sold because my son is tantruming at 12. I'm like, when is this going to stop? Maybe he needs that.
I don't know. I know 40 and 50-year-olds that are still whining. It all comes down to coaching and teaching in my book.
Oh, my goodness. I'm trying. I'm struggling. The struggle is real. Craig, where
Just
can our
listening,
listeners...
we'll get into that. I was listening to Jim Gaffigan and he was like, how many people, by a show of hands, how many people have kids that are less than 5 in the audience? And there were a couple people like, woo. And he's, I wish I could tell you it gets better, but it gets way worse.
I believe that. My son is getting that teenage vibe going. Like he shuts his door and mom's not cool. And I'm like, okay, he's going to hate us for the next 10 years, I think.
Totally.
And then snap out of it.
And then he'll come around and realize how amazing you are. But by the way, it's by design.
Yeah.
This is our genetics. Our genetics is to be repelled by our parents right about the age of puberty,
Right.
which is historically the time where we would leave the tribe and go find a mate and go to procreate. Now, he's not going to do that because times they have changed big time, but they've changed dramatically. But 3,500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, we were procreating at 13.
Yeah.
You'd hit puberty and you would have children and you would begin to raise children. Life expectancy was 25 and you had work to do to pass those genes on. Now, obviously, life expectancy is 77, 78. I'm going to live to be 150.
Same.
I got lots of time.
I claim it.
Said. Not the first time I've said it either. I've been saying that for years. There's no reason, there's nothing in our genes that say we can't live to at least 120. And there's obviously a lot happening in the science of longevity that is going to help us to live much longer.
Yeah, definitely. I loved our conversation today. And
So
if
grateful
you
for
could
it.
tell listeners where they can find you and...
Absolutely. I appreciate that. So IamInHarmony.com is our website. I am the 2 most powerful words in the English language because anything that comes after it, you are. So I Am In Harmony is the name of our company. InHarmony Interactive is our brand. InHarmony Media on Spotify and YouTube and SoundCloud. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If it's a social network, chances are we're there and we have an account. I am the human being on the other side of the comments. I think this is really important. I happen to be the human being that answers tech support and customer service as well. We have a team. I do have help. But I really love being in the forefront of connectedness to our community. And that's something that I take really, I wear it as a badge of honor and I'm very proud of the people and what we've built. So I'm the guy on the other side of the DMs and I'm the guy on the other side of the comments. I usually sign my name. I'm one of the most tangible people on the planet. Phone numbers on our website, email address on our website, addresses on our website. And I would love, love, love to connect with you and your audience and be a resource. And if we can help you reach the depths of relaxation using our technology, or you want to be a proponent of it, we would be honored to have you with us. Super grateful for this time together. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm absolutely going to link everything in the comments so that people can find you. And I can't wait. I'm definitely coming over and we're going to do an Instagram Live. I'm excited.
Let's go. I'm in.
Let's do it. I'm sold already.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a spectacular day.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
This podcast is brought to you by The Soul Experience, quantum healing hypnosis. Are you ready to embark on an inward journey of quantum healing? Quantum healing hypnosis is the most profound method of inner work and self-healing someone can do while on a spiritual path. In a single session, you experience past life regression, exploration between lifetimes, self-healing performed by your subconscious, release of trapped trauma, and answers to your most important life questions. Your higher self has a message for you and is here to help you and guide you on this life journey. Book a session today with Jennifer Mitchell at thesoulexperiences.com.